All right, so get ready, because today we're diving into crypto.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically, a bold claim that we're actually right now in the biggest crypto bull run ever.
Wow.
We're going to be looking at a presentation by Aaron and Austin Arnold
Okay.
of Altcoin Daily.
Right.
And they've been in the crypto space, analyzing trends and stuff like that since 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And they delivered this presentation at the Rare Evo conference.
Okay.
And they're really focusing on Bitcoin as a main example.
Okay.
And you might be listening to this and thinking,
Yeah.
is this just hype? Are we really in a revolution?
Right?
Maybe you're thinking about getting into crypto.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you just want to understand what's all the fuss about.
Yeah.
But whatever your reason for listening today, this deep dive is going to equip you with the knowledge to form your own conclusions.
Absolutely.
And to help us navigate this crazy world, we have an expert in financial markets and emerging technologies.
It's great to be here. I think this is going to be a fascinating conversation.
Awesome. So let's set the stage.
Yeah.
Aaron and Austin, the guys behind Altcoin Daily.
Yeah.
What's interesting is they present themselves as everyday guys
Mm-hmm.
talking to the everyman.
Right.
They're not like hardcore coders or Wall Street hotshots.
Right. And I think that's a big part of why people like them.
Yeah.
They make it approachable, for the average person who might feel a little bit intimidated
Okay.
by the technical stuff
Yeah.
or the, complicated financial instruments.
Like all that jargon.
Yeah, exactly.
So their main argument boils down to this idea that Bitcoin is like the internet
Uh-huh.
in that it thrives on this thing called network effects.
Right.
So basically, more people use it, the more valuable it becomes.
Makes sense.
And the more useful it becomes.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
They believe that Bitcoin's growth could actually surpass the internet's.
Really?
And they have two reasons why.
Okay. I'm interested.
So the first one
Yeah.
is the speed
So-
speed of adoption. So the internet, in its early days, had to build its infrastructure from scratch.
Right. From the ground up.
Yeah, and it was a slow process.
Yeah.
Bitcoin, on the other hand, leverages the existing infrastructure of the internet,
Oh.
so it can spread way faster.
Got it.
And to illustrate this, they use a visual.
Okay.
They compare Bitcoin's 10-year growth to the internet's first 10 years,
Okay.
starting back in 1992.
All right.
And Bitcoin's adoption rate is just way steeper,
Wow. So it's,
like a rocket ship compared to a snail.
yeah, like it's already built on this existing foundation
Exactly.
that the internet had to create.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so that's reason number one.
All right. So what's the second reason?
The second reason why they think Bitcoin could surpass the internet is arguably even more impactful.
Okay.
So the internet, while revolutionary, mainly benefited those who could invest in its early stages.
Like venture capitalists.
Yeah.
Accredited investors.
Right. Bitcoin, on the other hand,
Yeah.
opens the door to anyone with an internet connection.
Oh, what?
So we're talking global wealth generation on a scale we haven't seen before.
It's a powerful idea.
Right.
It's like democratizing finance.
Exactly.
Okay, but I gotta ask.
Yeah.
Bitcoin's been around for 15 years.
Yeah.
Some people might say it's old news.
Right.
Does that hurt their argument at all?
That's a great question, and it really boils down to, is Bitcoin past its prime?
Right.
The Arnolds counter this by saying that Bitcoin at 15
Yeah.
is like a teenager.
Okay.
It's still got a lot of growing to do.
Like it's just getting started.
Exactly.
Okay.
And to drive this point home, they compare Bitcoin's current price, around $60,000,
Mm-hmm.
to its price at the same level back in 2021.
So Bitcoin was around $60,000 a few years ago, too.
It was, and what they argue is that things are different now.
Okay, so what's changed?
They say Bitcoin is now de-risked.
De-risked.
So for one, we've seen a lot more regulation come in,
Okay.
which has brought structure to the market.
Mm-hmm.
You've got institutional giants like BlackRock, Fidelity,
Yeah.
Charles Schwab, all getting into Bitcoin.
Wow, that's a big change from just a few years ago.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
And, the collapse of companies like FTX,
Right.
that actually played a role in de-risking the market.
How so?
Well, it weeded out some of the less trustworthy players.
Ah, okay, so it's like cleaning house a little bit.
Exactly. And that makes the whole landscape more appealing to these big institutions.
Right, they like stability.
Exactly.
So it's not the Wild West anymore.
Not so much anymore.
Interesting.
And here's another factor that's making Bitcoin more attractive.
Okay.
The majority of crypto trading now happens on American exchanges.
Oh, wow.
And over 50% of Bitcoin mining is done by American companies.
Okay.
So this makes it way more appealing to institutional investors who want to see that regulatory clarity.
Yeah, they like to know what the rules are.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And then there's one more piece to this de-risking puzzle.
Okay.
Bitcoin halving.
Right. Bitcoin halving.
Do you want to explain that?
Yeah, so Bitcoin halving is a pre-programmed event that's written into Bitcoin's code, and it happens about every 4 years.
Okay.
And what happens is that the reward for mining new Bitcoin gets cut in half.
So less Bitcoin is entering the market.
Exactly. It's like a controlled squeeze on the supply.
Interesting. And we've had one of these halvings since 2021, right?
Oh, we have.
So they're arguing we haven't even seen the full price impact of that yet.
So even though the price might seem similar to a few years ago, the underlying factors are very different.
Very different, yeah.
Okay, so they're saying Bitcoin's like a coiled spring, ready to pop.
Potentially, yeah.
But haven't we already seen Wall Street kind of enter the crypto space?
Yeah.
What's left to fuel this massive bull run?
That's a good question. And you're right. We've seen the hype around Bitcoin ETFs.
Yeah.
But the Arnolds argue that the big players like BlackRock, they're not in it for quick profits.
Oh.
They're playing the long game.
Okay.
They're thinking decades, not months.
Wow. So they're not just trying to ride the wave.
No, they're betting on Bitcoin's long-term potential.
So it's a whole different game.
Completely. And to illustrate this, Morgan Stanley just gave its 15,000 financial advisors the green light to sell Bitcoin ETFs
Wow.
to their clients,
Okay.
who manage $1.5 trillion in assets.
That's a huge signal.
Huge.
And they're saying this is just the beginning.
Just the tip of the iceberg.
Wow.
They think Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, UBS, Wells Fargo, they're all going to follow suit.
That's a lot of potential new money coming into the crypto space.
A lot of money. All right, so we've talked a lot about Bitcoin,
Yeah.
but what about all the other cryptocurrencies out there?
Right. What about the altcoins?
Where do they fit into all of this?
Yeah.
Well, the Arnolds acknowledge that the crypto revolution goes way beyond just Bitcoin.
Okay.
They believe it has the potential to transform a ton of industries.
Like what?
And what's exciting is we're starting to see this thing called product market fit
Product market fit?
in the crypto space.
Okay.
So we're moving beyond promises to actual real-world applications.
So it's not just theoretical anymore.
Not anymore.
Give me some examples.
Okay, so take Chainlink, for example.
Okay.
They formed partnerships with Swift,
Swift.
which is the global financial transaction network.
Like what connects banks all over the world?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And they're also partnering with DTCC,
UTCC.
which is the world's largest securities settlement system.
So the backbone of the stock market.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not talking about fringe players anymore.
No, these are major institutions.
Wow.
What about other altcoins?
Yeah. What else is out there?
Solana is another great example.
Okay.
They've integrated with Shopify for stablecoin payments.
Shopify, that's huge.
Huge.
So many online stores use Shopify.
Tons.
And what are stablecoins again?
Stablecoins are cryptocurrencies that are designed to maintain a stable value.
Oh, okay. So they're pegged to something like the
Also-
US dollar.
Exactly.
Got it.
And they're also working with Visa for blockchain settlement and partnering with PayPal for their stablecoin.
So they're really making moves.
They are.
What about other areas of crypto beyond payments?
Well, there's Compound.
Okay.
They've had a lot of success in decentralized finance, or DeFi.
Day 5.
Yeah, they're basically creating a new financial system
Wow.
outside of traditional banks.
So people can borrow and lend money directly to each other
Exactly.
using blockchain?
Mm-hmm.
Got
And then there's Cardano,
Cardano.
which has actually gotten some attention from governments.
Really?
Yeah, so the Dubai Police Department is using Cardano technology to manage criminal investigation data.
To keep it secure.
Yeah, secure and transparent.
Okay, that's interesting.
And some U.S. states have even reached out to the Cardano Foundation to see if they could use it for secure voting systems.
Wow. So it's not just about, buying and selling cryptocurrency anymore.
It's not. It's really evolving into all these different industries.
That's amazing.
And to illustrate this, the Arnolds show a graphic highlighting all the sectors being disrupted by crypto.
Like what?
So DeFi stablecoins, AI, DPNs,
Yeah.
RWAs, LTings, gaming, like it's a long list.
Wow, it sounds like crypto is going everywhere.
It really does. But hold on.
Okay.
This all sounds super optimistic.
Right.
Surely there are risks and challenges.
Yeah, what could go wrong?
What could derail this whole thing?
Yeah.
And to their credit, the Arnolds do address some potential downsides.
Okay, good. I'm glad they're not just, cheerleaders.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that could throw a wrench in the works?
So they acknowledge that there's a small but not impossible chance of a bug in Bitcoin's code.
Like a software glitch
Yeah.
that could compromise the security.
Yeah. Potentially lead to theft or loss of funds.
Oh, that's scary.
It is, but they emphasize that Bitcoin is open source.
Right.
So its code is public,
Okay.
and it's constantly being examined by experts.
So it's like having thousands of eyes looking for errors.
Exactly.
Cool, okay.
They also point out external factors that could negatively impact all risk assets, including Bitcoin,
Okay.
like a major global conflict like World War III.
Right. So geopolitical events could definitely have an impact.
For sure. But they also say that because Bitcoin is decentralized and resilient,
Yeah.
it could potentially emerge stronger from a crisis.
So it's like a safe haven asset.
Almost like digital gold.
Interesting.
So if those aren't the biggest concerns, what is?
Yeah, what's the biggest risk according to them?
This might surprise you.
Okay.
The biggest risk, in their view, is governments and central banks around the world suddenly becoming fiscally responsible.
Wait, really? That seems counterintuitive.
I know, right?
Why would that be a bad thing?
Well, think about it.
Okay.
Bitcoin often gains traction as a hedge against inflation
Right.
and financial instability.
Okay.
If governments were to suddenly start acting responsibly, the need for that hedge would diminish.
So Bitcoin thrives on chaos.
In a way, yeah, it's kind of paradoxical.
It is.
They even mention this hypothetical scenario of Silicon Valley and media giants becoming more decentralized.
Oh, wow.
And if that were to happen, it could lessen the need for crypto.
Interesting.
But they acknowledge that that's not the trend we're seeing right now. Right.
So it's almost like they're saying crypto is a solution to problems that are unfortunately becoming more prevalent.
That's a really interesting thought.
So where do we go from here?
Yeah, what are the key takeaways so far?
Well, I think it's important to emphasize that the Arnolds really stress the long game here.
Okay.
They want people to view crypto as a multi-decade revolution, not a get-rich-quick scheme.
Right. Be patient.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about participating in a transformative period that's going to have a lasting impact.
And they even paraphrase a famous Wall Street adage.
Which is?
It's not timing the market, it's time in the market.
I like that.
Yeah, so stay engaged, keep learning, and ride out the ups and downs.
And that's good advice for any investment, not just crypto.
Absolutely.
But I got to ask, if the biggest risk to crypto is governments acting responsibly,
Right.
doesn't that suggest that crypto flourishes during times of instability and uncertainty?
That's a really astute observation.
Yeah.
It does seem to suggest that crypto thrives when trust in traditional systems erodes.
Yeah.
Right.
Think about it. Bitcoin emerged after the 2008 financial crisis.
Yeah.
It gained popularity in countries with hyperinflation or unstable currencies.
And now, with global debt levels skyrocketing and geopolitical tensions rising,
Right.
it's not surprising that crypto is getting more attention.
It's almost like a barometer of how much faith we have in our current systems.
Yeah.
The less faith we have, the more appealing crypto becomes.
Which is kind of unsettling.
It is thought-provoking.
It really is.
And it raises even more questions. What does it mean for the future of our financial systems if crypto continues to gain traction?
Right.
Is it a sign that those systems are failing? Or is crypto simply offering an alternative, a hedge against those failures?
Those are some big questions.
There are complex questions with no easy answers.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say we've covered a lot of ground
We have.
in this deep dive.
Yeah.
But before we wrap things up for this part,
Yeah.
maybe you could help us tie it all together.
Sure.
What are the key takeaways?
Okay, so I think there are a few key points to highlight.
Okay.
First, the Arnolds make a compelling case for Bitcoin as a mature, de-risked asset,
Okay.
backed by institutional investors, supported by a more regulated market.
Right, so it's a different landscape than it was just a few years ago.
Very different.
The Wild West is fading.
Yeah, it's becoming more mainstream.
Exactly.
And that shift is making Bitcoin more appealing to traditional investors who used to be skeptical.
For sure.
But we've also seen how this goes beyond just Bitcoin.
Right, that was point number one.
Yeah.
What about the broader crypto ecosystem?
That's the second key takeaway.
Okay.
We're seeing real-world applications of blockchain technology emerging across industries.
So it's not just about speculation anymore.
Not at all.
It's about real solutions being built.
Exactly.
And the Arnolds believe this is just the beginning.
Right.
They see crypto as a multi-decade revolution that's going to fundamentally reshape the way we interact with money technology, even governance.
It's a big vision.
It is.
Yeah.
But as we head into the next part of our deep dive, there's a question I think we should keep in mind.
What's that?
Well, if the biggest risk to crypto is governments acting responsibly,
Right.
doesn't that suggest that crypto thrives during times of instability?
That is an interesting thought to ponder.
It is.
And it's something we'll want to explore further as we continue our deep dive.
Absolutely. We'll do just that in part 2.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, it really does make you think, doesn't it?
It does. Like, is it a symptom of distrust, or is it, just a purely technological innovation?
Yeah, it really challenges our assumptions about what makes something valuable and what makes something stable.
Yeah.
Remember those examples we were talking about?
Yeah.
Like Bitcoin gaining traction after the 2008 financial crisis,
Right.
becoming popular in countries with unstable economies.
Yeah.
It all points to this idea that crypto might actually be filling a void when traditional systems start to falter.
It's like that safety net that people turn to when they lose faith
Right.
in the usual ways of doing things.
Exactly.
But it's kind of unsettling too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, for crypto to really succeed,
Yeah.
do things need to actually get worse?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
It makes you think about the world we're living in.
Yeah.
That this kind of alternative is gaining so much traction.
Right. Are we putting our bets on a system that thrives on disruption?
That's a big question.
It is, and honestly one that I don't think we can answer today.
Yeah.
But it's something to think about as we explore this world.
Yeah, we can't just focus on the potential gains
Right.
without acknowledging the potential downsides.
Absolutely, and I think that's where the Arnolds deserve some credit.
Oh, yeah.
They do acknowledge these complexities,
Yeah.
even as they're making this case
Right.
for this being the biggest bull run.
Yeah.
It gives their argument more credibility, in my opinion.
I think so, too. They're not just cheerleaders.
Yeah.
They're trying to be balanced.
Exactly, and they acknowledge that this is uncharted territory
Yeah.
and there are unknowns.
And that brings us back to their emphasis on the long game.
Right.
They're not saying go all in on crypto tomorrow.
Right.
They're saying this is a revolution that's going to play out over decades.
So it's about really understanding the fundamentals.
Yeah.
The risks.
Right.
And then making an informed decision.
Yeah, based on your own situation.
Exactly. Your own personal circumstances,
Yeah.
all that good stuff.
And that's what's so empowering about crypto.
What's that?
It gives individuals the tools to take control
Mm-hmm.
of their financial future,
Right.
to be part of something that's potentially transformative.
I like that it's easy to get caught up in the technical stuff.
Yeah, the price fluctuations.
Right, all the jargon.
Yeah, all the acronyms.
But really, at its core, crypto is about challenging the status quo,
You're right.
exploring new ways of doing things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And whether or not this bull run lives up to the hype,
Mm.
I think that spirit of innovation
Mm-hmm.
is something worth celebrating.
I agree. And even if this isn't the biggest bull run,
Yeah.
the fact that we're having this conversation,
Right.
that these ideas are gaining traction,
Mm-hmm.
that's significant.
It shows that something is happening.
Yeah, the world is hungry for change.
It really does. And even if crypto doesn't win in the way some people predict,
Yeah.
I think it's already having a ripple effect.
How so?
It's forcing these traditional institutions to adapt,
right.
to innovate, to rethink their approach.
It's like a catalyst for change.
Exactly. Even if the end result looks different than we might imagine.
Right.
So, as we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
I want to go back to something you said earlier
Okay.
about crypto potentially exacerbating inequalities.
Right.
What are some things we should be mindful of
Yeah. What are some of the potential downsides?
as this technology continues to evolve?
Well, one thing that comes to mind is access.
Access.
Not everyone has equal access to technology.
Right.
To reliable internet.
Mhm.
To the knowledge and resources needed to navigate the crypto world.
So we could end up with a digital divide within crypto itself.
Exactly. And we also need to think about the environmental impact.
Oh, right.
Crypto mining can be very energy intensive,
Especially for Bitcoin.
especially for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So if crypto goes mainstream, that energy consumption could have some serious consequences.
So there are trade-offs to consider.
Yeah.
It's not just all sunshine and roses.
It's not a simple equation.
No, it's not. And I think that's the most important takeaway here.
Okay.
There's a lot of nuance to this conversation.
Yeah.
It's not about being pro-crypto or anti-crypto.
Right.
It's about engaging with these ideas critically.
Thoughtfully,
Yeah.
with an awareness of the potential impact.
Both positive and negative.
Exactly.
Well said.
Hey.
I think that's a perfect note to end this part of our deep dive on.
I agree.
But before we go to the final part,
Yeah.
there's one more thing I want to touch on.
Okay, what's that?
The Arnolds highlighted a lot of exciting use cases
They did.
beyond just Bitcoin,
Yeah.
but they kind of presented them quickly.
Yeah, almost like a laundry list.
Exactly. I think we could spend some time unpacking those.
Yeah, dive a little deeper.
What do they actually mean for the average person?
Right, like what does it look like for Shopify to integrate Solana
Right.
for stablecoin payments?
How could Cardano change the way we vote?
Yeah, those are great questions.
and ones that we'll explore in more detail
Yes.
as we wrap up our deep dive in part 3. All right, so we've talked big picture,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to unpack some of those specific use cases we touched on earlier.
Yeah, those real-world applications.
Yeah, let's dive into those.
Okay.
So first up, Solana and Shopify.
All right.
What does it actually look like for a giant like Shopify to integrate Solana for stablecoin payments?
So imagine you're a small business owner selling handmade jewelry on Shopify.
Yeah.
Right now, you're paying fees to process credit card transactions.
Right.
But with Solana's integration, you could accept stablecoins directly.
Okay. And stablecoins are?
Are cryptocurrencies designed to maintain a stable value, usually pegged to the US dollar?
So no more like crazy price swings like we see with Bitcoin.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And for the customer, it could mean lower fees,
Okay.
faster processing times, and it could open up online shopping to people who don't even have access to traditional banking.
So it's like a whole new level of financial inclusion.
Exactly.
And for the business owner,
Yeah.
are there any other benefits?
Potentially. So think about supply chain management.
Okay.
Blockchain technology, like what Solana uses,
Yeah.
can actually track products from origin to delivery,
Oh, wow.
making it easier to verify authenticity
Okay.
and combat counterfeiting.
So it's not just about payments.
Right.
It's about transparency and trust
Exactly.
throughout the entire process.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift gears to Cardano.
Okay, Cardano.
This one was really interesting to me. How could a blockchain platform make voting more secure?
So imagine a voting system where each vote is recorded on a blockchain,
Okay.
which means it can't be tampered with.
So no more like hanging chads or questions about voting machines malfunctioning?
Potentially.
Wow.
And because blockchain is transparent, anyone could audit the results,
Right.
which fosters trust in the process.
Okay. But I imagine there are challenges to actually implementing this.
Of course, there are challenges to implementing this on a large scale, but the idea itself is pretty amazing.
It is,
It could really change how we think about elections.
Okay, so those were 2 great examples.
Yeah.
Remember all those other acronyms that the Arnolds flashed on screen?
Oh, yeah, like DPNs, RWAs, L2s.
Yeah, I was hoping we could circle back to those.
Let's do it.
They sounded pretty cryptic.
Yeah, so those are all areas where blockchain technology is making inroads.
Right.
DPNs, or decentralized physical network infrastructure,
Okay.
are about using blockchain to create more resilient and distributed networks. So think about internet access in remote areas,
Okay.
or even a decentralized power grid
Oh, wow.
that's less vulnerable to outages.
So it's like taking the power of the internet and making it even more accessible and robust.
Exactly.
Okay, what about RWAs?
RWAs, real-world assets.
Okay.
This is about putting things like real estate, artwork, intellectual property on the blockchain.
Wow.
Imagine buying a fraction of a painting or a song royalty using crypto.
So it's like democratizing ownership
Exactly.
of things that were previously only accessible to the wealthy.
Yeah,
That's a really cool concept,
it is.
right? And L2s.
L2's Layer 2 scaling solutions.
Okay.
These are focused on making blockchain transactions faster and cheaper,
Okay.
which is really important for mass adoption.
Right.
Because right now, things like transaction fees on Ethereum
Yeah.
can be a barrier.
Okay, so it's like paving the way for a future where crypto transactions are as easy as swiping your credit card.
Exactly. That's the goal.
Wow, and all this is happening at the same time.
It is. It's like 1,000 flowers blooming at once.
It really is a lot to wrap your head around.
It is.
So if someone's listening to this and they're thinking, okay, this is cool, but what does it actually mean
Yeah.
for me?
Yeah.
What would you say?
I'd say, first of all, don't feel overwhelmed.
Right.
This is a complex space. It's changing all the time.
Yeah.
But even if you don't understand all the technical details,
Right.
the key takeaway is that blockchain technology has the potential to impact almost every part of our lives.
It's like the internet in the early 90s.
Exactly.
Nobody could have predicted how much it would change things.
And just like with the internet, there will be winners and losers,
Right.
hype cycles and disappointments.
Yeah.
But the underlying technology is here to stay.
So how do we navigate all of this?
Be curious.
Be
curious. Don't be afraid to ask questions, to explore, to experiment.
Yeah.
There are tons of resources available,
Mhm.
websites, podcasts like this one.
Exactly. And it's not just about investing.
Right.
It's about understanding how this technology works,
Yeah.
what its implications are, how it might shape the future.
It's about being an active participant in this revolution.
I like that, not just a passive observer.
Exactly.
Well said. I think that's a perfect note to end on.
I agree.
We've covered a lot in this deep dive, from Bitcoin's potential to the wider implications of blockchain technology.
It's been a great conversation.
It has. And while we can't predict the future, one thing's for sure.
What's that?
The world of crypto is full of possibilities.
It is.
So keep learning, keep exploring, and who knows, you might just be part of the next chapter of this incredible story.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.